Hello listeners, I'll keep this short as you almost certainly already know this, but if you're listening to this on the day of release, Friday the 13th of September, then the first ever Crowley Time live show is tomorrow, Saturday the 14th of September at 4:30pm at London Podcast Festival. If you're planning to come and join us, I recommend booking in advance at kingsplace.co.uk. If you're not planning to come, it's probably too late for you to change your plans. Hope to see you there. kingsplace.co.uk. Thanks. In times of struggle, we must remember those who carve their own path. The rogues, the renegades, the rapscallions, those who nail their protest to the church door, then nail the church door to the mayor's face. They are the Faces of Virtue! Greetings and welcomes, listeners, to another investigative installment in my episodic quest to track down the best of us. Local activists, entrepreneurs, and all-round good dudes are all eligible for this series of intimate profiles, and this episode's guest is certainly among the good in dude terms. Charles Franklin is from Los Angeles in California in the United States of America, and he provides an essential service to the local abandoned animal population, giving names to the city's strays in the hope of turning them into pets. Many thanks to Matt Apodaca for putting us in touch with Charles. Charles Franklin from across the pond in merry old America. It's such a treat to speak to you. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be chopping it up with you and just let you know what I'm all about. And, you know, there's a lot going on in my field. So this is great. Yes, this is huge. Just chopping it up. It's just, that's so American. It's so exciting for me. Sorry, I don't mean to be weird, but, you know, this is all new to me. So I'm very, very keen to hear all about how things are. I've never spoken to somebody from that would call where they're from across the pond. So this is actually very spoken to for me as well. Somebody from Britain or continental Europe? Not on purpose. I would love to be conversing with people from all around the globe, but it's just, you know, in my field, I don't really speak to a lot of people directly, you know. I have heard that in Los Angeles, there's really a surprisingly small number of people from overseas there, unless they are, you know, I mean, triple A-list movie stars. Yeah, or they're, you know, on holiday, as it said. Yeah, on the holidays. yeah, absolutely, exactly. Oh, this is so fun. So yeah, I mean, unless you speak to, you know, who might it be? Timothy Olyphant, or possibly he's American, is he not? Oh, is he not? Oh, I thought he was British. It's probably just the name that threw me off. He does have a sort of British. Yeah, I hadn't really thought about that before. He does sort of have a British name, doesn't he? Yeah, you know, Benedict Cumberbatch, Timothy Olyphant. That kind of thing. Yeah. He's one of ours. He's okay. You can lay claim to him. Okay. There must be some period drama I saw him in, and you know, if you see a rough, you think England. You know what I mean? There must have been something like that threw me off. Of course. But anyway, we're not here to talk about the international relations between the America and the United Kingdom. No. Not at all. We're here to talk about your profession. Now, some people I speak to for this series are people who volunteered or who've created a sort of entrepreneurial business. But you're very fortunate in that your job is the sort of social action that you do, is the kind of, what would you say, is the thing that betters the world around you. So tell us about that. Tell us about your employment. Well, you know, I work in the animal space, in the domesticated animal space, specifically dogs and cats, you know, and I make sure I work on the adoption side of things. And you go on these websites, for example, people might be looking for a cat or a dog, and they go on like a petfinder.com, for example, and they'll go and they'll see one that's like in their area, and they'll see, you know, what kind of cat. You get a pop-up advert. It says there are these gorgeous dogs in your area. Yeah, and they're looking for a home. They're looking for a home. They want to get pet bad, you know, that kind of thing. They need it. They want it. They need to get petted right now, and they're in your area. They're just 8.6 miles away. That kind of thing. Exactly. There's stuff like that, but you know, it shows the types, you know, the breeds of the animal, their age and things like that. But the most important part of it, I think, and this is maybe I might be blowing smoke, but this is where I come in. I name these guys and gals, and I get to give them names based on a couple of factors. I kind of take a look at the photos and see what kind of vibe they're putting out. Maybe I'll consider the color of their fur, or maybe like the look in their eyes, and that's just I just kind of go from there. But that's my the name tab on their profile is sort of my canvas.
That's your canvas. You paint on that, with imagination, I guess. Well, that's amazing.
Exactly,
so you mentioned fur and eyes, breeds. I mean, do you have a name, say, for example, a fish or something like that? Would you be called upon to do that, or an eagle? Any sort of other pet?
Any sort of pet, I feel like I can do it. I mostly work in the cat and dog space, but occasionally we'll get a stray goldfish in the in the back, and
maybe in the river, or someone finds it in their toilet that comes out of the tap or something.
We gotta find this goldfish a home. What do we got?
Yeah,
and I might go. This one's named Dot. That one's Dot.
Ooh, yeah. Dot the fish. I already like that. You've got a real gift for this. I want Dot the fish.
Well, and that's sight unseen. You're hearing the name only.
Yeah.
And that's why I think the name is the most important part, because you're not going to necessarily get a goldfish. And I'd hate to give an example. You're not going to get one named like Gerard, but you might.
No, I don't like him at all, because maybe if I was Lord of the Manor and I wanted a very prim and proper goldfish, possibly, but he seems quite stuck up to me, Gerard the goldfish. I mean, is that how you would read that kind of?
He's a bit of a grumpy Gus, yeah. I'd say.
Yeah. Not the normal fish. I want the gold label or some fresh kelp. Otherwise, I'm not interested.
Yeah.
I can't afford that every single day. Gerard the goldfish, Pinky.
That's
Pinky.
A good one. That could be a good name for a fish.
Yeah, Pinky. Oh, yeah. You could give that to any fish, really, even one that wasn't very pink, and that would be fine.
Exactly.
Now, looking at you, I think Charles, fantastic, because at first, you see someone who calls themselves Charles, and they sort of tend to prefer Charles, not Chuck, Chaz, Charlie, and you think, well, surely it's going to be Charlie or Chaz or something. But then meeting you virtually, I think this guy is a Charles. He is a Charles Franklin.
I had to work my way into Charles, I would say. I had a Chaz phase, of course.
Okay.
Every
University
Charles has a Chaz phase.
Yeah, right, okay.
Yeah, back when I was, how you guys would say, at uni.
Yeah, of course, yeah. At uni? Getting me degree?
At uni?
Yeah.
Isn't it?
I got a degree in firing guns. Pew, pew. That would be the opposite is what I would say.
I mean, that was sort of what the options were at my university.
Really? Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah. Not great, I gotta say. I kind of wanted to learn other stuff.
So firing guns, maybe like wrestling cattle.
And then there was a whole unit on Cool Ranch.
Really?
The flavor Cool Ranch.
See, we don't even have Cool Ranch over here in the UK. Ranch dip, ranch sauce, that's quite hard to get hold of.
Really?
And they just call Doritos over here. The Cool Ranch flavor. Have you ever heard what that's called in the UK?
It's like Cool American or something, right?
Now, no, I believe that's the case in places in Europe, I think. Here it's called Cool Original.
Yes. Cool Original?
Yeah, that's not describing anything. What's original about,
That's tough, because I feel like I know I'm in the animal space, but they just needed who was on that,
Yeah.
Who was back there giving the alt name for it, because that to me that's a first draft,
Yeah, Cool
that's
Original.
Really like let's go home type of thing, let's not spend too much time coming up with this. Let's just get in and get out of here. That's, I think, a disservice to the Dorito brand.
I think so.
I think that someone like me could have gotten in there. And, Cool Ranch, sure. Maybe ranch is not as ubiquitous across the pond. But we could find something, right?
Can I ask you a big question now that we're on this topic?
Please.
Cool. What's cool about it? It's room temperature. It's crisps. Or chips, as you would say over there.
Yeah, it's
Is it cool
chips.
like Elvis? I mean, like, what's cool about a Cool Ranch or Cool Original Dorito?
I think if I had to guess what it is, it's not like a cooling sensation. Well, I guess like ranch as a dip if you think about it in its dip form, not in its Dorito dust form.
Yeah.
It's often served cold, and it's used to cool off whatever you're dipping it into, be it a buffalo wing or a slice of pizza or something, or a jalapeno pop or what have you,
or a racker, spicy barbecue ribs. Again, that's just me doing my part of feel free to reciprocate if you want.
I think as somebody from the States,
yeah, I've heard of this.
I do find it. I always do find it interesting. What makes it over there? Like what makes it elsewhere? Like what are the things that people are? That's our stuff. And for the most part, I will say, it's 100% correct.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Nobody's ever getting one that's like, that's not really our thing.
Oh, right. Well, I'll tell you, it's nuts sometimes because we just got Magnum PI last year, and I was amazed.
Is that true?
Yeah, I was astonished. I was just like. I turned it on. It's like, great hot new show on Channel 4, Magnum PI. And I turned it on and went, this feels very, like this is the 80s. But then the 80s are back. And actually now the 90s are back. So that's quite hard. So, then we got Saved by the Bell for the first time the next week. So that was, even stranger. But I think between them, they sort of sum up a lot about the States, right? Am I wrong?
I think that's pretty correct. Like, those are two quintessentially American shows. Like, I'd say they're different parts of America, one being obviously the American school, the other being, I guess, American private detectives.
That's right, yeah. And if, again, based on what we have culturally absorbed about America, I think those are kind of the two biggest groups of people, right? People at high school and private investigators.
Because I know that you guys have your own shows, and those don't really make it over here in the same way. Obviously The Office did.
Yeah,
and,
of course.
We get Doctor Who and stuff because that's sort of like an international show.
It's a co-production now, and we're very, very angry about that because...
I'm sorry about that. I can't say that I'm affiliated.
Not at all with Disney Plus in no way.
No, I have nothing to do with that.
Okay.
I've not seen. This with as much respect as I can give.
Yeah.
I've not seen height nor hair. Not 1 second of Doctor Who. There's just so much of it.
I think there are over 1 million episodes of it now.
There seems to be a concerted interest in keeping it going, which I think is good. I feel like people that's the one that just that's the one show. If you had to pick, if there was a thing here, in where let's say there's some sort of outer space being, and the entire Earth was tasked with sending a show that best represents, your country. Doctor Who's probably the one you guys are going to send.
But yeah, as for America, I think Magnum PI, not bad. It is in a non-contiguous state.
Probably Magnum PI. It might be Cops.
Cops, yeah, the show Cops, yeah. Bad Boys, What Are You Gonna Do? That's the theme song, I think, if I remember correctly.
Exactly. They don't have that internationally, right? There's not a...
we haven't got the Cops UK. We have that.
You do have that, okay.
It's called Noggin Bonkers. Over here.
Oh, okay.
Which is in Cops is Cops and get down on the ground and taser, shotgun. Yeah, but over here it's Noggin Bonkers because it'll be oh mate, stop right there. Yeah. And then if
just a lot of hollow bonks.
That's right, yeah. Dunk. That's the most frequently heard sound is dunk. What I want to hear more about from you is in your job, naming animals, taking in these poor lost or abandoned or donated whatever animals, and then giving them a kind of you're sort of you're kind of writing their Tinder bio for them, really, aren't you? You're going Fifi is a fun, perky 3-year-old Pekingese. Yeah, and so that kind of thing. Is that fair to say?
I'd say so. Yeah, I'm trying to. I try to base it on. I spend a little time with them before, and I'll see how they like to play, how they get along with other animals, if they do, and if they don't, that's important information to include because some people might be looking to adopt in a multi-animal home.
That's true.
But I try to let the name say it all too. Oh, wow. But so that at the very least, that's an interesting draw for them, and if they're intrigued by the name, they might swipe for more of the pictures, and then from the pictures go to the bio and be like, okay, they like to play with other cats. They like to eat this type of food or whatever. Mm-hmm. I want somebody to look at this senior, we have this senior cat. Mm-hmm. I named him Shrimpy.
Shrimpy. Oh, that's lovely.
I named him Shrimpy, and the thing about it is he's kind of an ironic name because he's not very small. He's kind of a big guy.
Wow,
he's big.
Well, that can be very attractive and appealing, actually. That can be a lovely, cute cat, little roly-poly cat. That's quite cute. Yeah,
and there's we got him, and I said, he likes to have his quiet time. Mm-hmm. He's a kind of an older guy, so he likes to. He'll come snuggle up, but he just kind of wants to be by himself.
Like he's not trying to Wilfred Brimley.
Sort of, yeah. And I like to try to take photos that sort of communicate their personalities, So I gave him a little newspaper and propped it up so it looked like he was reading the newspaper.
That's so cute. I'm sorry. I'm slightly freaking out at how cute that is.
Yeah, we've had a lot of bites on Shrimpy. A lot of people are kind of finding it online, and that's kind of the issue with the website is that sometimes it's not necessarily localized to where you are.
Yeah, okay, right? I see. So you can't get that geo-tagging thing going on.
Exactly.
I think Shrimpy would be the perfect cat for Timothy Oliphant. Do you know what I mean?
I think you're right.
Yeah, another man who I think has been perfectly named as well, actually. We may have already said that. But
his name is really, really good.
Yeah, it's perfect.
It does seem like he's English, but otherwise it is a really that's a rock solid name. You kind of know exactly what you're getting when you hear the name Timothy Oliphant. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know him personally, but I could see if I can get in contact with him and try to get him to adopt Shrimpy. Kind of a best case scenario for everyone involved.
It would be amazing. Yeah.
What a pair, first of all.
Yeah, and Shrimpy and Timothy. Oh, it's so perfect. I actually might turn this into a series of children's books. But that's for later. Sorry,
you can do it.
Do you know what I think it is? It's cultural overload. I'm so excited to be speaking to someone from out there, not just across the pond, but out there in Los Angeles.
I guess I am out there. Is that what people say?
Yeah. Oh, I thought it was what they said in the States. But okay. Never mind. But it's also out there, like Hollyweird, It's
okay. Yes,
it's a kooky place.
Out there.
Yeah,
it is kind of. It's a crazy town. I'll tell you that.
Really,
that's why all these cats are coming in, or all these cats and dogs, rather. All these animals looking for homes. Sometimes they might get adopted by a celebrity.
Oh, really? Know. Oh, wow. Okay. Have you ever given a pet to a celebrity?
I have, actually.
Are you allowed to say?
And it was. I'm not allowed to say, but let's just say that their name rhymes with Shmei Shmeno.
Oh my god.
Here's something.
And when he left, did he drive his adopted pet away in 27 cars?
He put it in one of the cars. That's the thing I will say is that this happens a lot with celebrities.
Oh, yeah?
It doesn't matter who. They show up in multiple cars, and then they put the precious cargo in one car.
Yeah.
And then the cars do a sort of, what is that called? When you put the shell game type thing?
Oh, you mean what do you mean? Like a sort of convoy, they flank each other, or what do you mean?
They sort of they sort of mix up so nobody knows where the cargo is. Like an onlooker, for example. A ne'er-do-well onlooker.
This is a bit like a Michael Mann film or something, which we just started getting a couple of weeks ago over here in the UK. Cinema only release.
He loves to shoot in LA.
He does.
He is one of our premier LA directors, isn't he?
Come to think of it, he is one of the things, apart from Magnum PI, he's one of the main, and Saved by the Bell, of course, he's one of the main points of reference I have for Los Angeles, except for the Keep. I'm guessing there's not too many ghoulish Nazi zombies, but I don't know. Maybe there are. You can tell me better than.
I wouldn't be surprised based on how the world is.
That's a good point. Plus, it's Hollyweird, and
exactly.
Yeah, has this ever happened?
And that would qualify as weird, wouldn't it?
It would. Like you're walking down the street. And you go around the corner, you go, oh, there's Man's Chinese Theatre. And then you see an actual, rotting Nazi zombie across the street. Corpse. And then you shrug and say, that's LA. Has that ever happened to you?
That's so LA.
Yeah.
And then I go get my hot dog.
Yeah, your hot dog from the ballpark. Okay, so let's go back to naming animals, because I think we've covered Holly Weird. We've covered, the cultural context that you're coming from. Tell me, how did you get into naming animals? Because I think a lot of people wanting to work with animals, they might try and get a job in a zoo or as a vet, but you went straight for, adoption, helping animals find a new home.
Well, I guess it started with I was looking for an animal for a pet.
Oh yeah,
and I went into one of these local places. And I just kind of noticed that they had I'd say pretty full inventory, let's call it. Mm-hmm. And I kind of was just like, what's going on here? All these cute, beautiful animals look like they'd love a home, and are ready to go, but they're not. I guess, for lack of a better phrase, they're not priced to sell. They don't have a name that really is rolling off the tongue.
Yeah, they're not dressing for the job they want. They're dressing for the job they have.
Yeah. And so I was like, let me just try something. And I took it upon myself to kind of look at these dogs, look at these cats, and be like, these names are all wrong. Some of the names I was able to switch around.
Really? They're on the shelf?
Yeah, like they had little tiles, like little nameplates that I was able to slide out and slide into another one, and some of those were good, but some of them I had to start from the ground up.
Yeah. Did they have little, those signs you can get in shops where it's individual letters? That'd be so handy, wouldn't it? If you could just change it round.
Because then sometimes I would just need a couple of letters. I wouldn't have to change the whole thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Just pinch a couple from George over here, and then you can make Hugo over here, or whatever it is.
Well, that's there was this. Are you familiar with the concept of a cockapoo?
Oh yeah, part cockerel, part poo.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, great.
And so that's a breed of dog we have here, and everybody wants one of these dogs. These are really? This is an easy dog to get people to adopt, but this dog had been there. He'd been there for so long. I was like, maybe the name Henry is not suiting you.
Henry the cockapoo.
Yeah, maybe you should be Smoothie, actually.
Smoothie. Oh, that's fantastic. Oh God, this reminds me of, I had a friend who had a dog, and he'd adopted the dog, but he got the dog from like a neighbor who died sadly. It was a terrible situation. He electrocuted himself on his toaster, and he left no family, no close friends. He was a horrible person. There was a street party actually, but that's not the point. The point is that this lovely dog, very affectionate, really nice, and it ended up like, well, we're just going to have to sorry to be, I want to be sensitive because you work in the preservation of animals, but we're going to have to kill this dog with a brick if we can't find somebody to adopt it in the next 24 hours. So my friend went, oh, sure, I'll take it. They said, but you can't change its name. It only responds to this name. And so it's going to feel very distressed, very anxious if you try and call it something else. He said, okay, what's his name? And they said, Mr. Hitler. And, so you imagine being in the park calling the dog back with a name like that. That's embarrassing.
Because then it seems like, if obviously not everyone's going to know the situation. So you'll be calling for the dog, and everyone's going to be like, you did that.
Yeah.
You named it that. I wonder if there's if you can take a name, obviously, like they said, don't rename the dog. He won't respond to it. He gets anxious if you call him something else.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's something we can do where we can basically keep the name as is.
Yeah.
But put the emphasis on different parts of the word.
Okay. All right, I'm with you. So this is the expert perspective we need. So, okay, you've got Mr. Hitler. What would you do differently with that?
I mean, let me just type it out real quick so I can see what I'm working with here.
Yeah.
So, all right. Right away, I'm thinking instead of Mr., we're getting Missy.
Missy. Okay, so we got Missy Hitler. I think that's an improvement, but I don't... There seems to be something kinky about that now to me, but I don't maybe that's me looking too much into it.
It is a little bit sweeter.
Come here, Missy Hitler. Missy? Do you know, there's something strange about that to me.
Missy, I mean, Missy Elliott doesn't fully work, does it?
Missy Elliott, well, yeah, you could sort of mumble it slightly.
Yeah,
Missy
Elliott. It's one of these things. Yeah. I feel like a dog, and maybe this, I don't know this dog. Most dogs only know their name in regard to hearing it upon being fed. So I think we could train this dog to learn a new name. And I think Missy Elliott might be a good name.
Missy Elliott is
an animal.
Yeah, it's quite good. Yeah. I mean, it's a very...
What about Missy Misdemeanor even? That's pretty good.
Misdemeanor, yeah. Missy Misdemeanor. That would work. It's more contemporary as well, isn't it? So that might help quite a lot with that. Yeah. Well, I'm going to write that down and send it to him, actually. He's, Just give him, he can have that one. Like, that's like, I'm not in this for the money. Well, no, clearly. I mean, it's the benefit that you have to society that does it. So we'll go back to where we were last. So you were talking about how you wanted to adopt an animal. The names were all wrong. You fixed them, and that's how you found your calling.
That's right. Yeah, and then if I'm being honest, I still haven't found my pet.
Really?
I haven't found the one that's for me. I'm too concerned with making sure that all these animals are named correctly. That to me is more important than me being fulfilled in the having a pet department.
Okay, if you could pick one name that your dream pet would have, what's the name that signals all the qualities to you that's like, that would be my pet?
Francesca.
Okay, species, do you know yet? Or would it be anything? It could be like a hawk, or it could be a mouse, or what?
There's a new animal documentary a la Tiger King called Chimp Crazy. It could be a chimp, for example.
Chimp Crazy? Well, I don't think we've had Chimp Crazy over here yet. That sounds really fun.
Yeah, get ready for it in 2045. Yeah,
that's right. I'll TiVo that. No question. Absolutely no question. Chimp Crazy. Okay, a chimp called Francesca. I feel a bit differently about the chimp, because the chimp, that seems like a cheeky chimp. And chimps, they're very strong, and, a bit of cheekiness is natural in the chimp family. But, sometimes a bit too much. Yeah, exactly. Stealing crisps out of people's bags, like bananas, whatever, out of their hands. Going, I got this. That's normal. But take it beyond that. Sort of mugging scenario can emerge very quickly, or even a sort of a stand-up fight. A
chimp
emerge.
Could learn to brandish a knife.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, chimps, they only don't want to have to get a job, do they? Like they're pretending they're not as clever as us, so they don't have to work.
They want all the benefit of being as human as they can be.
Yeah, use
wearing
tools,
overalls, riding a bike.
Yeah, I mean that's if they'd be full on singing, "I want to be like you, hoo hoo," if they wouldn't give themselves away. Because you can see it in their eyes. That's what they're after. If they could get away with driving a car around without giving themselves away, they would love to do that.
I know he's not a chimpanzee, but King Kong.
Yeah.
He picked up a lady.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, like we've all tried to do in our lives, But he was like, I'm going to literalize this.
One palm.
Yeah. Straight away.
It was beauty that killed the beast.
It surely was. And can I just say on behalf of my countrymen, we were very sad to hear about the passing of King Kong. I know he was quite a national treasure in the States, and
I will say King Kong named correctly.
You're quite right. There is a science to this, isn't there? When you got in touch and said, I think I really helped my community by naming animals, I thought, Rolf, Mrs. Whiskers, Meowie, whatever. But actually, no, there's a real sweet science to it, isn't there?
Can you imagine if King Kong was named something like Big Monkey?
Big Monkey? That's terrible. Can you imagine bringing that ape over to the Broadway show? No one would come.
Imagine going all the way to Skull Island.
Yeah.
And bringing over the, ninth wonder of the world, and you're calling it Big Monkey. You'd be a fool.
Terrible. But imagine like you go to the local people of Skull Island, the indigenous people, and they've got this whole setup with the gates, the huge gates to keep the thing out, whatever it is, the monster. And you say, "Oh, what do you call this god creature of yours?" And they go, "Oh, we call it Big Monkey." You'd be so disappointed.
You'd be really disappointed. You're like, "That's all?"
Yeah. Yeah, monkey.
He's not even royal.
Not even royal. It's just an ordinary big monkey. It's so much less appealing. I'm so turned off of King Kong straight away. You're right. You're quite right. This is important work that you do.
I like to think of it as important. I know that some people don't really give it a second thought because, from what I understand in my business, they often get taken home and get renamed.
Oh, yeah, but you put all this thought into it, but then they don't. I mean, it's terrible, isn't it? I mean, and you look at the imagination people put into it generally, because I don't know if you know this, but we love our dogs in Britain. That's one of our kind of national stereotypes. Like, I'm walking my dog, that kind of thing. And
we do the same thing. I'm walking my dog, partner.
Partner, yeah, I'm walking my dog. And that's, yeah, exactly. And so of course. So over here, I think it's something like 9 out of every 10 households has a dog in it. And the other statistic is that 99 out of 100 dogs that's, been taken in, that's been adopted, is called Greg. And you think all those Gregs running around.
Greg.
Yeah, it's a terrible name for a dog, but almost every single dog in the country is called Greg. And, if you go to a park in anywhere in Britain, it's like a Greg festival. It's just a Greg, 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 Greg. It loses all meaning quite quickly.
Everyone just saying Greg nonstop. And then that must be tough if you're named Greg as a man.
Yes. Yeah. What?
You get a couple real human Gregs in the mix.
Yeah, you do. I mean, there's quite a lot of people Gregs as well. And, so they're all looking at, You think they get used to it. But, every time you hear your name shouted, like if I said, Charles, you'd instinctively... Yeah, you see, you're looking around you as though someone's after you, someone's trying to get your attention. It's natural. It's what happens. So Greg. Oh, it's a nightmare. But forgive me, but I want to get into the real meaning of what it is that you've achieved there. And I would just love it if you could tell me, what's your favorite adoption success story? What name did you give that led to, the real perfect pairing of household and pet?
Well, there was this cat. There was this cat that was found in a box in a parking lot of a local grocery store chain here that we call Albertsons, right?
Albertsons, yeah, okay.
It's a American store.
It sounds very American,
store.
Actually. Albertsons.
Yes. And he was just a little guy, black and white tuxedo cat. I'm just painting a picture.
No, I love it.
I'm
picturing it already. Yeah.
And we took him into the shelter, and we were like, this guy doesn't have a name, doesn't have a home. And so I'm looking at this guy, and I was like, how are we gonna get this guy adopted? What's his vibe? And he's to borrow a phrase, he's a cheeky lad.
He's a cheeky Nando's, yeah.
Yeah. And he's, very playful, very I'll go as far as say demure, mindful, even.
Oh, wow.
And,
okay.
Cutesy, as far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
And
not saccharine, a little too much.
No.
A little too much cream on top.
He's the exact right level for how you'd want him to be.
Okay.
And so I'm looking at him, and I said, this guy's name is Hurley.
Hurley. Oh, that's beautiful. Hurley.
And then somebody walked in, heard me naming him.
Yeah.
Says, I'll take him.
Right. Straight away.
And that was immediate, straight away.
Oh my God.
It didn't even, he had the name for not 30 seconds.
So that was that's instantaneous. And that's undeniable approval of what you had done.
Yeah, ultimately that's what you want. And I did ask. I did say, what made you want this cat? And the person said, here's something. That's the best name I ever heard.
So the name was entirely...
And then they drove away saying Awooga.
No way. That's incredible. So 27 cars, the whole fleet driving away with Hurley, the tuxedo cat. Oh, that's amazing. But that's so moving. And so do you know, is unspecified late night host celebrity still with Hurley? Are they happy together?
Let's just say...
Yeah.
I've seen Hurley very recently in a Model T.
Brilliant. Amazing. Driving?
Yeah, he was driving.
Wow.
That's the thing, is that he learned to drive because this person who shall remain nameless taught him to drive.
Well, that's really amazing. I mean, what better testament, though, to the power that pets have in our lives and how much they mean to us and how much they can change our lives. Oh, well, Charles, can I just say I've had a great time talking to you. It's been rootin' tootin'.
Doing this job, I never thought I'd cross paths with an Englishman. I never thought I'd cross paths with a celebrity looking for a cat. This has opened a lot of opportunities, a lot of doors for me, and I'm just happy that these animals are finally named the right thing, because it is so frustrating.
Yeah, of course. Maybe someday, I don't know, maybe one day you'll get to give Bill Nye an armadillo.
That's now at the top of my bucket list.
Fantastic. Oh, Charles Franklin, thank you so much for speaking to me.
Thanks so much. We did it. Hell yeah.
Charles's untamable passion for his work and the love and care he puts into animal onomatology really won me over. And for his faithful service to the city of Hollyweird, I am more than happy to welcome his portrait into my hypothetical gallery of Faces of Virtue. Don't forget that if you want to hear the full, unedited and extended great big version of Charles's interview, you need only go to patreon.com/CrowleyTime and sign up to support this show. All paying Patreon tiers get the great big Faces of Virtue episodes, so if you sign up now, you'll get all the extended versions of this series, as well as all the bonus material ever released for this show. Here's just some of the extras you could be listening to right now. That lighting guy deserved it.
A never been kissed with Drew Barrymore type of situation.
He's, a war criminal.
Did the news of Harambe make it over to you guys?
Oh boy! I want to listen to that right now! And I can! And so can these wonderful people. This show's executive producers: Aileen Jones, Amanda Waterman, Andy Case, Diggory Laycock, Dr. The Eliminator, George Cantor, Gigi Catherine, James Roberts, Katrina Powers, Kim M, Louise Robb, Matt Luckcuck, Meme, Michaela McNally, Purple Strawberry, Samantha Dye and Peter Shanks, and Tobias Anderson. And the biggest, bestest thanks of all to this show's Supreme Champion Producers! The incredible, the uncredible, the not credible Laurel Carlson and Paul Tiemann! My undying thanks to all of them, and to everyone who supports this show, whether with money, word of mouth, or ideally, money. That's patreon.com/CrowleyTime to sign up for great big Faces of Virtue and much, much more besides. Once again, I'd like to thank Matt Apodaca for putting me in touch with Charles. Matt is a comedian, writer, and producer known for hosting the best video games podcast in the world, Get Played, and for his many fantastic appearances on the improv comedy granddaddy of all podcasts, Comedy Bang Bang. He also makes a true labour of love of his own, a show that takes a deep dive into the musical history of the band Weezer, entitled What's With These Homies Talking About Weezer? All of these wonderful shows are available on all good podcast apps, so get your phones and your Zunes and your iPod Touches out and start looking them up right away. Then, when you've listened to all 400,000 hours of those shows, check back here in 2 weeks to meet another of the Faces of